In this video, we're going to go over how I'm helping a high school athlete who wants to increase speed, mobility, strength, and has been dealing with an ankle issue for about 2 years. It's been pretty chronic, forcing her to have to use an ankle brace for a lot of her training. So the first exercise you see here is what's called a tibialis raise using a tib bar. So what this is doing is lengthening the ankle tendons and ligaments and also strengthening them at the same time. So we're really isolating the ankle joint and the tibialis muscle, which runs from the ankle to the knee. This is really important in helping her to be able to heal her ankle while also building the amount of load and impact she can handle in her ankle and in her body below the knee. So this is an amazing exercise for building that strength. It's not something you commonly see in most high school athletic programs, but we are trying to get uncommon results here. Our next exercise is a straight leg calf raise using a slant board. So that board that she is standing on is obviously slanted, and that gives us a really good ankle flexion. Okay, so you see when her heel's at the bottom right here, she has a really good ankle flexion. So it allows her to stretch through the Achilles, which again is going to be affected because of an ankle injury. So we want to also strengthen the Achilles, and the calf muscle is really important because it has two of the strongest muscles in the body, the soleus muscle and the gastrocnemius. Okay, by strengthening and lengthening the ankle and Achilles and calf muscle, she will gain more strength and ability, and that will allow her ankle to be more healed, right? So this is actually helping to heal the ankle while also going to help her to build speed and athleticism while playing the sports that she plays. These are really simple exercises. This is something she'll progress to where she will eventually be adding load, so adding weight. But for now, just body weight, working through that full range of motion and getting her ankle healed up. This exercise is a reverse step up using a heel elevation. So now we're turning the other way. So now the heel is more elevated than the toes, which is different than the previous exercise. So we turned around on the slant board. What this is helping to do is now build ankle flexion as well. So you see she gets into these angles where it forces her ankle and tendons and ligaments in the ankle to have to adapt. So we want to put stimulus on the ankle tendons and ligaments and to make them change. Now, we don't want to put so much stimulus on them that it creates pain, but we want to do this as far as we can pain-free. Okay, so tendons and ligaments are anabolic. They change just like muscles, okay? So the thing with muscles, you can see that. You can see when your quads change. You can't necessarily see when your ankle tendons and ligaments change, but what you can see is the ability in the ankle change. So in a month, when she's able to do this with 10 pounds in her hands, that means her ankle has more ability, which then the ankle can handle more load, which means that the tendons and ligaments are getting stronger. So this is a really good exercise for building up the ankle and the vastus medialis, the muscle just above the knee. This exercise is a hip flexor raise. So what I'm doing is using a floss band, and I'm wrapping a weight to the athlete's foot. So what this is going to do is essentially make it so that we can lift weights with her feet. So our hips have really taken a really tough time with our modern lifestyles of sitting most of the day, and so our hip flexors are getting weaker and tighter. So what this is going to do is directly help to make that hip flexor stronger. So what we do is we get lined up and we have the foot over the ledge of whatever you're standing on. From there, we want to get the knee past parallel, so past 90 degrees. So for this exercise, we're doing 20 reps, and we want to get a really good burn in that hip flexor. So this is really going to get blood flow, stimulation, circulation to that area. So this is going to be part of how we strengthen this area of the body, because having weak hip flexors is not going to help your athleticism, and having strong hip flexors will help your athleticism. This exercise is a split squat. So this is where we're going to lengthen that hip flexor. So if you look at the back leg and look at the hip, as you can see, we're lengthening by bringing that front knee into a knee over toe lunge. Okay, So the exercise before this, we strengthen the hip flexor, but now we want to lengthen the hip flexor. So we want to be strong and flexible at the same time. So with this athlete here, she's doing the split squat. And one thing is her form is not perfect how we would like it. Notice how she's really turning at the hip, right? So she starts straight, but you can see her hand towards the bottom twist to the right. So more emphasis here on going straight, as I was telling her. But what this is doing is really working that front leg as well. Okay, so we're trying to get our hamstring to cover our calf in the front foot. And this is also going to help with ankle flexion, knee tendons and ligaments being stretched, and also knee tendons, ligaments being strengthened, because we have a lot of knee injuries in high school sports, especially with females and males, both. We want to make them protected. So what we need to do is lengthen and strengthen those tendons and ligaments. As I mentioned before, they are anabolic, so they will change, grow, and adapt. This is a great exercise for building knees and lengthening hip flexors at the same time. Our last exercise for this workout was a loosening deadlift. So a lot of us are experiencing spinal compression, right? Tight and stiff low backs. This also has to do with sitting, so hip flexors getting tight, low back getting tight. One way to lengthen the hamstrings and lengthen the low back and decompress the spine is through a loosening deadlift. So we're using a really light weight. This bar weighs between 15 and 25 pounds. And what it does is it stretches you just a little bit beyond your normal means. This isn't something where we would lift heavy, but what this will do is help to open up the body and to help open the connective tissue and the fascia in the body. Because basically a tight athlete is not helping themselves out, where an athlete who feels loose and mobile is giving themselves more of an advantage when they play their sports, because we get into all sorts of positions in sports. And what this is helping to do is get us prepared to the point where our hamstrings can be really stretched, our low back can be really stretched, and we will not be at risk.